Here. Okay, our prayer and opening exercises this evening will be led by David Zajac.
Lord, today we ask for your common love in a time of uncertainty, chaos, and turbulence in our state, our country, and in our world. We ask for your guidance as we look to make decisions that affect all that we have sworn to uphold and defend. Direct our thoughts, words, decisions, and actions toward the right path and help us to stay on track. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have a public hearing relative to the student housing in R1 and R2 zoning districts that would amend the dates of implementation by 1 year pursuant to the recommendations of the Director of Planning. The time is now 6:02. Liz, can you call any speakers?
Yes, I'm speakers, Council Chair. Sorry about the noise with that speaker, but if you guys can't hear me, please let me know. Our first speaker is Jacqueline Pryor.
Do you want me to flip the switch and flip it back on, see if that works?
Just one moment, Ms. Pryor, I want to make sure we're hearing you.
Okay. No, it's off. It was on. I thought it was on.
You gotta turn it back on.
It's off now.
Well, give it a second, it's got to reset. Give it a second.
It was on before, wasn't it?
It was,
Yeah, it was squeaking.
but it has to it takes a minute.
Okay. Okay. Of course, mine doesn't seem to be.
But now, can you explain just what zoning 1 and zoning 2 is, because, that needs to be more clarified. We try to change, this is to speak about the housing, is that right, the president? Is that not right?
So,
This is the public hearing relative to the student housing, relative to zoning R1 and R2. We're postponing it for 1 year.
Okay. Can you explain, I just say yes to everything when you say on the agenda, so what does that really consist of? Because when you put R1, R2, people really don't know what that means.
Residential 1, residential 2.
And what's the difference between the two?
So, during a public hearing, there is no answer or question back and forth. It's just the public's opportunity to speak. And I'm sorry to say that all this was set out in the last 9 months, multiple hearings. All material is posted on the city's website. So it's kind of old news, and there won't be any information provided from your time.
And I'm taking my time back from you to explain that you don't have an answer. So let's just go back a little bit. Again, you're asking, a public hearing, isn't this different? I thought you got a little bit more time to speak and you get answers. So what is the difference from a regular council meeting and a public hearing? No, let them speak. Go ahead, Counselor, I'll give you a couple minutes.
No, there's no more answer.
Okay. So again, you want to come in front of the public, the people and give them no information. They don't know what you're saying, and we're supposed to be okay with that? Anything that I'm asking you today that you can't answer, I will be immediately FOIL acting it in the morning.
Well, when you FOIL it, you should ask for the minutes from the last meeting. Because
Well,
all
I don't need to do that. I can FOIL act it. I want to hear what you got to say about it. But anyway, again, this city to me, I've been here all my life. This city does not belong to Niagara University students, okay? It belongs to all of us. It don't belong to the Airbnbs. It don't belong to the businesses. It belongs to the people that you're constantly trying to move out. Where do you think they're going? I was just at Coffee with Chris on Saturday. And yes, Republicans won. We're gonna all deal with it. But they got the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the presidency. And now what they're after now is redistricting. So everybody understand what that is, go Google whatever, because it's coming, and this is the next agenda, according to who attended that Coffee with Chris. So I guess we ain't gonna get no answers to the questions, I'll FOIL act, but understand that people are looking, people are asking questions that you should be able to handle immediately.
Our next speaker is Tanya Barone.
Good evening. I just wanted to bring up a couple of points about this redistricting, redesignation of the R1, R2 in DeVoe for the student housing. I find it very curious, and it kind of stands out from previous meetings when certain person came to the podium and really didn't orchestrate a real reason why she was against the students being in DeVoe, even though she was a resident. She was more on the side of Niagara University and was sitting with the dean of students and I believe it was the vice president of the university. And I feel like there's some personal interest in what she was saying and how she said that Niagara University wants their students back and they're willing to take their students back. In my opinion, during COVID, they lost a lot of their students from forced vaccination. And I'm wondering if they lost a lot of their students in student housing, so then their numbers dropped. So it almost feels a little bit like a conspiracy, but to me it makes real sense that the city is now purchasing 38 properties and they already have in mind development for those properties in alignment with Niagara University. It doesn't seem like it's because the people of DeVoe are very concerned and how they've been not able to enjoy their homes because of all the partying and noise. It seems like it's more for the university than it is for the residents. Because I know myself, being a realtor for almost 20 years, there's certain parts of DeVoe that buyers that I've worked with will steer clear of because the partying has been going on for years. It's not a new problem. And now all of a sudden it seems that Niagara University wants to kind of take over that area and develop it into student housing. Now it seems the city is now going to do something for it, but not for the residents, more for the university's interests. So who's really going to benefit from that? I mean, key words are they want their students back. Of course they do. Of course they do. Because student housing is huge money for them. My own family members a war veteran was kicked out of that university during COVID, and he had every shot known to man, but because of his religious beliefs, he had a 4-page religious exemption, and he was denied and kicked out of that school. So do they really care about the students, or is it more about money? I feel like this is about money and not the residents' enjoyment of their properties. And that's how I feel. I feel like this needs to be looked into further, because there's certain people up here that may be connected to that. And maybe they're getting a little bit of a kickback to make sure this gets pushed through. And maybe they're pushing this off till 2026, because that's when they can physically take over these properties and start construction. So it's more of a benefit for them than it is for our residents. Thank you.
Okay, the time is 6:12. The public hearing, no more speakers. The public hearing's closed. Okay. Okay, now we're, public speakers, okay. So we're at the part with presentations and public speaking, public hearing, public speaking, presentations. We have no presentations for this meeting, correct?
Correct, no presentations.
Okay.
You can move to public
So we have
speakers.
public speakers on legislative items.
Yes, sir.
Council actions.
So our first speaker of the legislative items would be Jacqueline Pryor, agenda items 1 through 8.
Is that 1 through 3?
Correct, she listed on here that she's looking to make commentary on 1 through 8.
Well, let me just start. I do one, and I suggest that anybody that come here that, has to, wants to talk about the agenda, just do 1 to whatever number is at the end, so you can pick and choose really what you want to speak about. Unfortunately, it's been so much going on, and I got so much to say that I was even able to see what's on the agenda. Just being honest. So I ain't gonna waste your time. I'll just fall act whatever I got a question about. Thank you.
Her next speaker is Tanya Barone, agenda items number 6 and 8.
Number 6, the solar farm rezoning of 9315 Colvin. As I had said before, I'm concerned with the impacts on health, environment, and property values in that area. Once this property is deemed open space, there's really no reversing that. It's very difficult, but I mean, the mayor, he can pretty much do anything he wants, so maybe he can flip it back and use it for something else should the state decide that, the environmental study that they're gonna do before they put a solar farm there, if the land is contaminated, I mean, that's a whole nother story. What I do want to address is the information that I had passed out to you all before the meeting. I'm not sure if Liz had given it to you or not. Councilman Miles has his already. This is a post that I found the other day on the Grand Island Facebook page. It's very concerning because it's in regards to the solar farm that's located on Bedell Road. I believe that solar farm went in around 2018, or that's when it was in the works. So it's been there for a few years now. This post, and I printed out pictures of the dead sheep that are underneath the solar panels. It's very alarming. As I read the 178 comments that were underneath it, people are up in arms in Grand Island. These sheep have been dying on the solar farm since last year, and it's been addressed to Grand Island Town Council many times. And they've called the Erie County SPCA. They really kind of don't know where to turn to have it investigated, because as the sheep die, some of them are removed from the property and new sheep are brought there by a local farmer on Grand Island. They're upset with the farmer that he keeps bringing the sheep there and letting them die, but they're there to cut the grass to keep it low underneath the solar panels. It's alarming that the two sheep that you see in the photos, one is a complete carcass intact. If these were coyotes that were attacking these animals, the bones would be scattered. I work with wildlife. I've seen many carcasses and worked with many animals. The one sheep that I show you a picture of that's done underneath the solar panel is fully intact. There's no blood in the picture. The sheep is white. You would see the red blood on it, and it would not be laying there in a whole carcass. So my concerns and a lot of the residents in Grand Island's concerns are the same that I had addressed to you guys previously. Are the solar panels leaking? They do reach about 150 degrees, so they give off a lot of heat. Is there something environmentally that's happening to the ground around them where the sheep are then eating the grass and then ingesting something toxic? The health department has been called, they have been contacted, and I would suggest for you guys to put off this vote this evening until you are in contact with Grand Island or the health department in Erie County, or maybe even DEC, because they're all going to be involved in this, in removing those animals and doing a study on them, because I, for one, am going to be on top of this, just because I normally have contact with those agencies because of what I do. But I want to see it through, because I want to know if that is due to the solar panels, that they have died from some kind of toxin, and I'm sure they're going to want to know that too. So to put a solar farm in on Colvinville Boulevard at this point, I think would be irresponsible, because we have not even done a study on that piece of land in 30 plus years, and that came from the woman that sat here from NYSERDA. When I was talking to her, she said that they would have to do a new study to make sure that it was an environmentally safe piece of property first. But just because they're having an issue in Grand Island now alarms me more. And the comments underneath there, it says, and I printed them out for you, it goes back a year that they've been reporting to Grand Island. So please just take that into consideration when you vote. And I would hope that you wouldn't vote this evening without doing due diligence and finding out why the sheep are continually dying on that solar farm on Bedell Road. I appreciate you and your time in looking into this and considering all of us in this area, including yourselves and your families. It's very concerning. It's a residential area. There still are homes and families there. And what is this going to do to their health?
Ms. Burrell, thank you.
And their home values. Thank you.
There are no more speakers.
None this evening, thank you.
All right, I believe 9716 is having a turkey giveaway tomorrow. If my memory serves me correct, I believe between 4 and 6 o'clock at, I believe it's the Calfus? Calfus? Right, Calfus, the elementary school. And so for those of you, if you know people who are in need, what's that, 3? 3 to 6, okay, thank you very much. 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, for those of you who know people who may be in need of turkeys during the holiday or whatnot, you can let them know. And, 9716, they've been doing this. This is annually for them. So shout out to them, hats off to them. I tip my hat to them for doing this good work. So tomorrow, 3 to 6 at Calfis.
Anybody else? Nope. Okay. All right, moving on to review and adopt the agenda. Okay, the legislative items. At this time, we're at section 4 of the agenda. Are there motions to amend the agenda by roll call vote? If not, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as proposed?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Who wants to make the motion? Okay, Tracy?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Tracy made the motion. Who seconded it?
JJ.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles,
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
4 yeas.
4 yeas, motion's carried. Okay, now we're at the review and the approval of the minutes. We're now at section 5, review of the minutes for November 6, 2024 City Council meeting. Does anyone have anything? We had the minutes for a few days now. Does anyone have anything to add or to amend the minutes? Any corrections? If not, then let them be approved as distributed. Okay, section 6, from the city clerk's office. Do we have,
I have nothing to report this evening.
okay, nothing from the city clerk's office, okay. Okay, at this time, we're moving on to the legislative items. We'll move on to legislative item number 1 from the mayor's office. Can I have a motion, please? Can you hear me okay? I can't hear myself. I can't even hear myself with this. Is that okay?
Yeah.
How's that? Much better. Okay. I know it's pretty bad when you can't hear yourself talk, right? Okay. All right. So legislative item number 1. Can I have a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Vote to approve contract award for RFP number PLN 2024-01 to Fisher Associates for the provision of professional design and construction management services in relation to the Niagara Falls Bridge District Downtown Revitalization Initiative, and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with said vendor as more fully outlined in his recommendation memo dated November 14th, 2024.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, I will not restate the motion unless there's a request to do so. Okay, is there any opposition?
Oh, you can ask any question, right?
Not yet.
I'm usually asked the first.
I said, is there, not yet, okay. I said, is there, I will not restate the question. I will not restate the motion unless there's a question, right?
Oh, okay, so I
Okay,
do
so
have a
there's no-
question.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay. Now, there's no one's asking me to restate it, so now, are there any questions?
Yes. I just want to make sure if I'm reading it correctly. It's 100% reimbursable, and it's through a state grant, right? Just want to make sure.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there any opposition? Okay, Liz, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
4 yeas.
4 yeas, motion's carried. Resolution number 2, may I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve the designation of Gary Bevilacqua, Eugene Pucci, and Rocco Zandano Jr. as city marshals for fiscal year 2025 and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with each designee as more fully outlined in his recommendation memo dated November 14th, 2024.
Okay, may I have a second to that motion, please?
Second.
Okay, I will not restate the motion, but is there any information request for that? Okay. Is there any opposition? Liz?
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
4 yeas.
4 yeas, motion carried. Legislative item number 3, may I have a motion, please?
Move the council vote to approve the payment of a refund to Mr. Nicholas Brown for $951.60 as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo, November 14th, 2024.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Any information request? Any opposition? Liz?
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
4 yeas.
4 yeas, motion's carried. Legislative item number 4. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, number 4. I move the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to execute any deeds or other documents necessary to effectuate the sale of city-owned real property at 1333.5 North Avenue to John W. Crawford III, as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated November 14th, 2024.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay. Is there any request for information? Okay, any opposition? Liz, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles? Councilmember Zajac? Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
4 yeas.
4 yeas, the motion's carried. Next agenda item, may I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to the Niagara River Greenway Commission's approval of the city application for transformational investment in community green space, water, and ecological resources, and the council's allocation of Power Authority Greenway funds.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Information request?
Yes. I was looking on here and I was wondering, because I know from, doing my homework that the Beach Avenue project was actually submitted a application for Greenway funds back in April. So I'm just wondering why they're not a part of this list. That could be answered by anybody.
So what I know about this is, it came to my attention yesterday when Mark Scheer from the Gazette emailed me, and he sent me a copy of the application that had been given to the Greenway Commission, which contained a clerical error, two references to Beach Avenue when it should have referenced another park. What I determined was, after speaking to the Director of Planning, was that mistake was caught, and a corrected page 2 of the application was sent to the Greenway Commission prior to their vote on November 12th. So when the Commission met and voted in favor of the program on November 12th, the two mistaken references to Beach Avenue Park, which has no facilities or equipment on it, was not before the council. They had the correct I should say before the commission, it was not before the commission, and they voted on the intended parks.
Any other?
On also the Beach Avenue Park as well, so they voted nay, or how
No,
was
no.
that?
As I explained, the mistake in page 2 was corrected before it was submitted to the commission on November 12th for a vote. So when the packet went to the commission on November 12th, all references were to Garden Avenue Pocket Park,
And
which
not-
was the intended park.
I have to look into that.
Anything else?
Now, here's the thing, I'm totally for us restoring our parks. When were those applications placed in? Because I just don't want to,
There was only one application? Are you asking
I'm
about
talking
how
about
the
the other-
parks
yeah.
ended up on the list?
yeah, the other parks, was that a part of the, like, the initial plan, or did that happen kind of last minute? I just want to.
No, it wasn't last minute. My understanding is that the director of DPW did an inventory of all the parks and came up with a list of the ones that were most in need of an injection of capital funds due to decades of neglect. And there are many buildings that are falling apart. Some of the pavilions on Hyde Park that we rent out are in terrible shape. And to the extent that they even present a safety hazard to people who use the park. So Kenny Tompkins, the director of DPW, came up with projects at each of the, I believe, 11 parks, and came up with a program for capital improvements to address those concerns, as well as ADA compliance. So one of the things that is a barrier for people with disabilities is that some parks have no paved sidewalks. And so if you're in a wheelchair and you want to, take your children to a swing set, you might be going over some soggy ground and having difficulty doing it. So Mr. Tompkins has made a priority of correcting those situations. He also told me that there is money going to be spent on Hyde Park to update and repair the ADA recreational facilities, which, as we've heard in this chamber repeatedly, are in disrepair and need of attention.
Anything else? Okay, any opposition? All right, Liz?
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
4 yeas.
4 yeas, motion's carried. Okay, moving on to resolution number 6. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to the adoption of a local law entitled Amendment of the Official Zoning Map Concerning 9315 Colvin Boulevard, Niagara Falls, New York.
You have a second? Okay, there's a information request.
Yes, so in the event that this bill passes tonight, does that make this whole solar farm situation an immediate go? Like, is it something that's gonna start moving the ball?
Well, NYSERDA will start progressing with their project, but there will be no construction. There's no contractor that has been retained by NYSERDA. They need to do some preliminary studies to see if it's even feasible. And a speaker mentioned that NYSERDA plans on having the ground tested, and that may affect the plans as to whether the land is even appropriate for a solar farm. But on that subject, I do think that regardless of whether the solar project comes to fruition at the earliest, sometime middle of next year or later probably, regardless of that, if the council approves this zoning change, you're basically changing it from a parcel that is zoned for residential. And history tells us that no developers have been interested in investing their money at that location, and you can probably guess why. It is very close to Love Canal. So we don't really expect that 5 years from now, if this zoning designation isn't changed, and 5 years from now it's still residential, we don't expect in the next 5 years a developer coming in saying, hey, we would love to put residential homes on this parcel. We don't think that's ever going to happen. So by changing it to, changing the designation, it's more consistent with reality, and by designating it as open property, it does give flexibility. Maybe the solar farm will not come to fruition. However, the land is being marketed in a better way because it's not attracted any interest as residential property.
So just to clarify what we're voting on tonight, all we are voting on is to change the zoning, because this land is adjacent to the Love Canal, and nobody has been building on this property to begin with, and likelihood of anybody to build any housing in this area is probably next to zero. Am I correct in making that assumption, Council?
And can I just add to that, so, because I did have a similar question, just to clarify, we are voting on zoning, rezoning only, not voting on a solar farm tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, any opposition?
Very much so in opposition, especially with the new information that's brought forward tonight. Because I don't want us to think that, like, for instance, I give you just a prime example. When those who came and spoke to us regarding how they felt about DeVoe, it's still a quality of life issue. If this situation is a real thing, and we plop down some solar farm in the area that's already right near the Love Canal, that already has a level of, toxicity and toxic waste, not knowing the long-term ramifications of actually doing that, then we would be doing a disservice to those people who live in that area right now. And if they put a solar farm down there, you can guarantee they're not going to develop anything there, at least for 25 years, because that's usually the shelf life of a solar farm anyway. And we don't even know what happens after that, because what happens is then, you can't dispose of it in a normal fashion. So I think one of the things, I think we should probably, I would say do this. I would say, I'll make a motion when it's time to make it, to table the item
Okay.
until testing, but I'm not making a motion right now. I'm just finishing my opposition. So my opposition is that, being that we don't have a clue of what this is going to look like, and it's kind of looking like another situation we keep hearing about, where, if it's not, even if it's not the solar farm, it could be something else. Or what is that something else? It's like we're making a knee-jerk decision to actually try to rezone something that's been zoned a specific way for decades, and then all of a sudden, here we are, we're gonna make that decision. We're gonna tell you what your area should look like and what it should be, when the people who actually lived there sat at that podium and told us how they felt about it. So we're either gonna work for special interest groups, or we're gonna work for the constituents that voted us in. So,
Well, what I heard people say at the stadium, at the podium, is the woman said she likes to look at the trees that are out there. She likes to look at the forestry that's out there. Well, the way it's zoned right now, people could build houses out there. Not that they're going to build houses, And before a solar farm goes out there, correct me if I'm wrong, council, but there would have to be an environmental study done before any solar farm would go out there. Would I be correct in making that assumption?
NYSERDA said as much, that they will test, they need to test.
Before
the land.
anything would be out there, there'd have to be some type of environmental study be done. So nothing's going to be changed out there, except that they would not be able to build houses, they would not be able to build anything out there. It's going to stay the way it is until something comes up and is proposed. And then they'd have to go through a process of going through this whole thing again, coming to us and then getting approval. So nothing's going to change.
So I guess the question that I have is
Can I finish my statement,
well,
please?
you said nothing's gonna change. Okay, go ahead.
So, I gave you your.
No, go ahead.
Can I, okay.
Go ahead.
So, all we're voting on tonight is to leave the area as is, and there will be no houses built, or nothing will be set there. So we're allowing it to stay copacetic. That's it.
We're actually voting to rezone it and change the zone from, am I? Am I right? We're changing the zone tonight, right?
Changing it from residential to open space.
So we're not leaving it as is, as you just stated. So two, like I said, and you just drove my point home, why are we putting the cart before the horse? They haven't tested anything yet. They haven't done any real tests for this solar panel or anything else. So why are we jumping to try to hurry up and zone something? At the end of the day, Niagara Falls is still going to be here. That area is still going to be in that same area. Nothing's going to change. Why don't we actually go through the process and say, hey, you know what? We found these studies, but we already, and then we do a knee-jerk response tonight and zone this to that space, and then it's like, oh my God, we can't do nothing with it anyway, but now it's zoned, so in this space, so there's no homes that can be built on it. Even if we can remediate the land and spend, the money we can, to do so, we wouldn't be able to do it because of the zoning change. So instead of us zoning it tonight, why don't we put that off, and then let's do things in order as Mr. Cawley likes to say. Instead of, fire, aim, ready, why don't we just, ready, aim, fire? Why don't we test it? If it works, and if it's something that makes sense, and if it's something that is going to be suitable for the city and the residents that are there, then we can move forward and we can go from that space. But right now, we're saying, oh, it's a possibility, or we could possibly turn it into a solar farm, but if we don't do a solar farm, we can do something possibly else with it, but we'll have it set for that zone. Let's not do such a knee-jerk. And what is the rush? I feel like we rush everything. So why don't we just stop just for a moment and do things in an order, and in such an orderly fashion that makes sense? It's not making sense. That's my opposition, and that's to my colleagues.
Okay,
That's not a question. That's to my colleagues. It doesn't make any sense.
that's your counterpoint. Understood. Okay. So, I don't
So-
think we're rushing it. We had a hearing.
So I'd just like to point out to the council members that this isn't an overnight request. It was first brought to the planning board, and the planning board reviewed the application, went through their process, held a public hearing. They waited to think about it. They met again. This history is recited in the memo, the supporting memo. And this item comes to the council with the planning board's recommendation. So to suggest that this is a rush job or an overnight quick surprise is just a mischaracterization. That's not the case.
It's not. I'm not saying that it's
Further-
overnight. What I'm
Furthermore,
Good.
furthermore, my memory is that NYSERDA came here to request your approval, and they indicated that they wanted to see it changed to zoning, and that would entice them to proceed with their investigation.
Hold on,
So
I have a question.
if the council decides to not change the zoning, I would expect that NYSERDA will not have the land tested. So we'll all be left with a mystery of what's out there.
Well, I have a question, because I want to make sure that we're doing things in decency and in order. here, according to our, Robert Rules of Order, as everyone likes to cite when I speak, or with our city charter. I never asked him a question for anything that had to do with legalities, and his response. And the thing is this: I want to make this really clear, because what happens is, and that goes for even our chair. You're trying to lead. You're trying to paint a narrative or even create a dynamic to what you and push the idea somewhere. At the end of the day, if I ask something that has legal ramifications, that's when you respond to me, and not for you to say, I think that, because what it sounds like, it's almost like you're representing NYSERDA over here, and you're like,
All right.
trying to
That's
get
it.
us to
All right.
vote for that. Call it what it
All
is.
right.
Call
That's
it
it.
So-
Okay. Enough.
So,
Enough.
Mr.
All right. Enough conversation. Okay. Do you want,
We're
Mr.
equals.
Do you
sir.
want to make
We're
would you
equals,
like
sir.
to make a motion, Mr. Miles?
I would like to make a motion to table the item until we actually get some real testing done and make sure that
To
we
table it or to
yeah,
postpone?
to table it at the bare minimum. And
Okay.
I'm not being unreasonable. I'm saying table it
Make
so
a-
it can make sense.
Would you like to make a motion?
I made a motion to table this item.
Okay, Mr. Miles has made a motion to table item number 6. Is there a second to that motion? Okay.
Crickets.
Is there a second to the motion to table item number 6?
Crickets. Hope people be on the right side of history.
Okay, there's no second to the motion, therefore the motion has failed.
All right.
Back to the original motion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not open for discussion, this is a council meeting. Okay? We're gonna close the meeting down and we'll have a meeting, a legal meeting in the council. If it's
Unless
not,
y'all
if we
wanna
don't
meet,
silence
I
down.
have absolutely no reason
Yeah.
to meet for a legal.
Liz,
There's this. It
call
is
back-
what it is. I mean,
Council-
everybody gets a chance to.
Councilmember Miles?
Everybody
Please.
sees what happens.
That's
It's normal.
right, they do.
Yeah. So we don't.
We're not gonna interrupt these,
I'm not-
we're not
I'm
gonna
not gonna
interrupt
ask-
these
I don't want
proceedings
this.
with people talking.
I don't want. I'm not going to come to a meeting. I'm not going to come to a backdoor meeting with the
Well, you don't
mayors,
have to.
okay, so
You don't have to.
if y'all want to have a
Okay.
meeting, y'all can. I'll
We're
sit
call,
out here with them.
all right, call the roll, resolution number 6.
Council, excuse me.
Oh, that's your wife.
Yeah, okay.
And what happens?
that's
See,
the
that's
one.
another problem. No, that's another problem. Is when you can't
Okay.
have your people coming in and
Well,
disrupting
and
and then saying that, and when someone else says something, it's not a problem or it's not addressed. So let's call it what it is. Let's keep it 100.
Miles? Okay. Okay. Let's call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bax? Councilmember Miles?
No.
Councilmember Zajac? Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
3 yeas, 1
3
nay.
yeas. Motion's carried. Resolution, just because you don't get your way, you don't get to scream and yell. That's the democratic way. Okay, resolution number 7. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve the resolution relative to the support of continued and increased state aid for local governments.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Information request?
Mr. Du Bois, just a quick question. Was I added as a co-sponsor of this as well?
Yes, you were.
Okay, thank you.
Opposition? Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Bax? Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
4 yeas.
4 yeas, motion's carried. Resolution number 8. May I have a motion, please? Resolution number 8, may I have a motion, please?
Oh, no, she can motion it. It's fine. It's your resolution. Oh, well, I mean, everybody else was represented by, one of the mayors and stuff. I figured we'll all go through the same one, but. You made the motion Well, you asked me, but I didn't know. Hold on, let me go here. Let's see here. 8, where are we? Mr. Chairperson, I move that the council vote to approve a resolution relative to supporting the allocation of ARP funds to the development of the Beach Avenue Park, and I make a motion that we, according to Mr. DuBois, for legality reasons, that we strike out the portion that says, ensure swift action on this critical initiative. So, because that was his reason of saying that he would vote it down if it was placed in that manner. We all had the email, so it's not new.
You have a second?
I have a question. Point of information. Point of information. Because there's no second, so there's no need. But I have a point of information. You want to know what my point of information is? That's when I ask for a point of information as the chair, you're supposed to say, what is your point of information, and then I'll tell you what it is.
Well, does it have to do with the resolution?
It's everything to do with the resolution.
The resolution's failed. There's no second.
So, like I said, a point of information, that's a part of Robert rules. He knows that.
There's no resolution. The resolution's failed.
As a city councilman, if I stand and say I have a point of information, then the chair says, Dante, what is your point of information? Or Councilman Miles, don't call me by my first name up here.
Okay.
What is your
Councilman
point
Miles.
of information? And then I give you my point of information.
What is your point of information?
Thank you very much. My point of information is, I just want to make sure, I want to make sure that I'm understanding something, because a couple of weeks ago, when I put the same resolution out, and Councilwoman Bax had made mention that, and I quote, she didn't understand why this is even on the agenda, and further express, and I quote, it's already on the budget for next year. And then kind of in a pompous manner, she pretty much said, that's why I'm voting no. But then, 2 days ago, right here in this council chamber, at the budget meeting, our mayor made it clear that the portion of where this is on, this Beach Avenue Park is already on the budget. He made it very clear that this is nothing more than what? A wish list. So the Beach Avenue Park is not on the agenda. It's not to be it's not on it's not in this budget. It's not here as a budgeted item from everything else. What it is just a wish list that he said, and I quote, because I want to make sure that we'd have to find funding for. ARP is funding that we could go directly for this. So I'm asking for funding that we supposedly already have in the budget, but it's not really in the budget, because that came fresh out of the mayor's mouth, is that it's nothing more than a wish list.
Now, Mr. Miles, would you like to, maybe you could explain to Mr. Miles the difference between the budget and the difference between
the capital plan?
the capital budget and the budget?
If I may, I want to give the council a different type of advice, and that is, the council member has been given an opportunity to speak his piece, but just so that we know, going forward, when there's a request for information, under Robert's rules, that is a request for whoa, hold on.
I asked him to speak.
Yeah, of course.
The point of information. Hang on.
Time I brought Robert's
Listen,
rules
it's
up,
okay,
right?
it's okay when you have your people talk, but when I
You are my
ask
people?
someone
Who are my
to-
people?
When I ask someone.
Who are my
to-
people?
Yeah, like with my people.
Hold on, who are your people and who are my people? Everybody out there are my people.
Yeah, my people
Everybody
too.
out there, because I represent the entire
All
city.
right, okay.
Whoa.
I asked council to speak. I've asked council to speak. Now, Mr. Miles, if you would like to make this a whole argument, go right ahead.
What it
because-
is
Because you've
that
already made it what it
very-
is. Go ahead. Council, please, continue.
Double standards, but go ahead. You can
Yeah,
say what you got to
okay.
say. Yeah. Who are my people? They're supposed to be our constituents. Everybody, every 48,000 members of our city is supposed to be our people.
I was quoting
So-
you when you told
No,
me
you
my
said,
people.
I never said my people.
Yeah.
I never said anything about my people.
No, you did. You said my people out there.
No, I said, no. When your wife yells and she says something, you don't say anything. But when someone else says something, then it's a big problem. So my thing was
Your
that
dual
I expressed that. But no, my
Your dual
people.
standards. Go
My
ahead.
people.
Your dual
All right.
standards, okay.
Okay. Again.
So,
Not all of us. Sorry. Not all of them. Not all of them.
so,
Ladies and gentlemen, if we're not going to settle down, I see no reason for it to go.
so a request for information, a point of information, that's a technique to get advice from the chairperson regarding a parliamentary procedure. And Mr. Miles' discussion had nothing to do with that kind of request. So the other thing I want to say is that there should not be debate between members of the council that is not part of any pending motion. Robert's rule states that there should be no debates unless there is a pending motion. So in other words, if there's a motion to put additional money in DPW, then you can have a debate about that subject. But in the absence of any business, any legislative business, and right now the last item was defeated, there is no pending motion or resolution. Therefore, there should not be debate and argument going on between the council members.
Robert
So that's
Rules-
got to stop. That's got to stop.
Robert Rules also said that there's no that the chairman
Mr.
should not
Miles,
should not
Mr.
debate
Miles, would you
anyone. And he
please
should
leave-
he
let
should.
the
We've been through that, Mr. Miles.
Right, but guess
We've
what?
been
You're
through
cherry
that.
picking. That's the only
Mr.
problem.
Miles,
I
you
have.
are out of order.
Okay.
out of order.
At the end of the day, you're cherry picking. That's what
Mr.
happens.
Miles, you're out of order.
But you're gonna have the are you gonna have the police come and escort me out?
Mr. Miles, you are out of order.
Okay, so what are you gonna do?
Mr. Miles, you are out of order.
Okay, again, cherry
Mr.
picking.
Miles, you are out of order.
Cherry picking.
People let you speak, they can't
Okay.
interrupt you, I'm asking
And then
you
I
to
let
let
him speak, and then I said what I had to say, but he don't like what I say. And when you don't like what I say,
Mr.
it's a
Miles, you
problem.
are out of order.
Okay, you're out. Okay, it is what it is. That's sad. It's sad. Again.
Make a notation, Mr. Miles is out of order.
Okay, please do. Please do. What I'm gonna get? I got detention now. I'm gonna stay after class. Come on. This is ridiculous. Don't worry about
Move
it.
on to the items of public speakers. Liz, do we have public speakers?
Yes, we do. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, before I call our names, can we just please remember the rules and regulations for speaking? If everyone could just kindly respect the person that is at the podium so that we can hear what they are saying, please. Our first speaker is Eunice. Say it again, please. Thank you, Chirwali.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Eunice.
I'm coming with several issues here. I'm a native of Mississippi. I've lived in Niagara Falls for 16 years. I never had a problem. I never been in trouble with the police. I worked as a RN for 23 years. I have education. I'm not drug abused. And it seems like in the 14301 and the 14305, you can get no help. You can't get no help on nothing. And y'all talking about a dog park, and I need help. And I don't understand why a mayor is not at a city meeting and then he don't have an open door. I called up here to talk over some issues with the former director that now has 2 jobs with the city. And he explained to me, I thought that because of the mayor, he could get me in there to see the mayor. The mayor done gave the man 2 jobs. How come he can't get me in there to see him? Okay? So that was a flop. The man began to laugh about my legal issues like it was a joke. And he kept telling me, do not bring his name up if he talked to the mayor. So this is what I'm going to say to you guys from his people, okay? This is what I'm going to say to y'all. It's sad what y'all doing up here. It's disgraceful. You showing that we can't even count on y'all. Because you coming up with something that's total ridiculous. Ridiculous. I ain't never been to a town meeting and they acted like this. What is, y'all ain't for the people? And then you leaving Mr. Miles up there by himself because he's speaking the truth and he for the people, okay? But I don't know why the mayor gave the former director, Mr. Scott, 2 jobs when he done mismanaged $1 million+. Okay? And I know that as a fact, okay? Look at them people. When he was in office, Jordan Gardens was supposed to be knocked down and rebuilt. He did what he wanted to do with the money. Now y'all got him rolling out a 5-year plan. This is what I'm going to ask to the board right here. I need y'all to call the Attorney General. And they might need to come in here and snatch up the mayor too, okay? I mean, y'all better call the Attorney General because this ain't the end for me. This ain't the end. I want you to call the Attorney General. And Mr. Chairman Perry, you can smile all you want to because she might be investigating you too, okay? Don't do people like that. Don't humiliate people. Don't talk out of turn when people trying to talk. You the chairman. What is the problem here? I don't understand it. But I know it's bigger than the feds. And the mayor might know somebody in the local Fed office, so I think you better call Letitia James. And I think you better hurry up and do it. Y'all know it's corruption from the Labor Department to the Housing Authority to the courthouse to the city hall. Come on now. I didn't know what the word corruption meant till I made it to New York State. I only came here because New York State is the Cadillac of insurance. It done kept me alive. I have stage 4 cancer. Do you understand? And these people now here doing stuff to me, and I can't get no answers from nobody. It's corruption because the judge was Italian. No evidence. How you gonna tell somebody they wrong when they ain't got no evidence? And I want to ask you a question, Chairman Person Perry. Why the mayor ain't here? And why he don't have no open door? When he bought them chicken wings and pizza down there to Spalino Towers, he told us the door was gonna be open. I ain't seen it open yet. Cause I don't get no call back. And Clifford Scott is scared because he don't want the mayor to know. But I'm pretty sure the mayor know what that man did down there. He left them people in horrible conditions in Jordan Gardens. And I want you to call the Attorney General. I don't want you to vote on nothing. I want you to call the Attorney General. Okay? And if she got an issue, tell her to call me. I know exactly where to go and look. People, they so used to treating people in the 14301 and the 14305 like they stupid or drugs or mental. I ain't none of that, okay?
Thank you,
I
Ms.
came
Stevens.
from a good family.
Okay, time.
Okay, I need to know that you're going to call the Attorney General.
Our next speaker is Tanya Barone.
I don't know how I'm going to top that one. But I want to know why in front of my rental property now 2 days ago there was a camera installed on the handicap sign. DPW doesn't know what they're studying and who put it there, but there was a white van seen and pictures were taken of the white van, and there's a sticker on it. It's a telescopic pole chained to the handicap sign in front of my rental property here in Niagara Falls, right off of Pine Avenue. And the camera is facing towards Walnut Avenue, and it's a large black box. And it has a sticker on the pole that says National Data Surveying and Services Traffic Monitoring in Progress. It's funny that our city isn't even aware that it's there, but then when I went down a block down and turned left onto Ferry Avenue, I now spotted another one. So they're investigating that. But if anybody in the city sees these boxes, they need to report them to the DPW so that they can continue their investigations of who put them there and why they're there. It's very alarming, to say the least, that they're just popping up different places. So that's one thing that I want to address. But I have been attending some of the budget meetings and looking over the budget. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't claim to know much about the budget, but I'm trying to learn, because that's our responsibility as residents, to attend these meetings, to learn how city government works, to try to be a participant in the government in some way to where we can make our city better together. I don't see that happening. We're all up in arms over here, and you three don't seem to care much at all. You don't take into consideration the uproar in the audience. Clearly, you're not voting the right way for the residents. If we were allowed to come up here and speak and actually get our questions answered and actually converse with you in a normal fashion, maybe you would actually hear more from us, and we would hear more from you to understand why you're voting, even though you see dead sheep in a picture and it's concerning and could be an environmental issue. And once you rezone that space, there's no going back. Has that space on Colvin even been offered to a developer? I mean, we seem to be giving tax breaks to every developer here and free everything, dollar parcels and taxes, back taxes being waived, and now let's just give somebody, a developer, that parcel and say, do you want to develop here? Do your studying, whatever. Like, the senior housing, Vincent Morello, was built right at the other side of that property, and there's people living there. Why can't that be continued? It's crazy and ridiculous to say that no one wants to build there. Have we ever tried? Have we done a study? Have we had maybe aid from the state to even get a study done on their dime just to see if we can go forward with some sort of development? Because we can maybe put all kinds of housing in that area again if it's not contaminated. Instead, we want to recontaminate it and put stuff there that's going to harm the residents potentially and cause animals to die and our environment to be harmed. I don't get it. But I really want to address the capital plan of our mayor's wish list. There's a DPW building for the Parks Department on there for $4.5 million on New Road in 2025. That's his plan. Is that because he kicked the DPW Parks Department out of Hyde Park for a $4.5 million $4.5 million dog shelter? So this dog shelter is now, if this plan goes through, the capital plan, that dog shelter costs $9 million. So think about that. If we would have just left them there, we would have saved $9 million. Instead, we displaced the people in that building, moved them to New Road, and now we have to build them a new building for another 4.5? Does that make sense? It is absolutely insane to me. to any normal person, that's craziness. $9 million for a dog shelter.
Our next speaker is Janine Gallo.
Okay, I just want to end with that $9 million. It doesn't make sense. An existing building costs $4.5 million. An empty lot costs $4.5 million. That doesn't even make sense to me. I know I'm not as smart as Tom the Boy, but I'm pretty smart. And that would make no sense to $4.5 million for a dog shelter that's an existing building and you already bought all the kennels and God knows what else. The budget doesn't match, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Let alone, by his own words, the park is falling apart, and all this stuff needs to be done in the park. And again, the zoning from the land to not get it tested before you do anything doesn't even make sense. But again, you spent $13,000 on a construction guy saying you could put the dog park there. You spent $280-something thousand on an architect to come in and draw the picture of the dog shelter that nobody's seen the picture yet, and still haven't seen it. So you don't even know how many more dogs you can hold. Right now you can hold 13 at $20,000 a month. Who knows what you can hold in the park? And again, you didn't even get clarification that you could zone it there. And again, you've already given the money away, but God forbid you give a park that you're supposed to give 20-something years ago. I came here because the person that was in charge of your dog park was abusing animals, and I've learned a lot of corruption. And I'm embarrassed to be white. I can say more than yes. I could say no, I could say table it. I don't know why you guys can only say yes. I guess maybe I should join a bowling league. I don't know. I just am appalled. And again, all this bickering about the dog, and again, nobody wants to talk about from July to December, you paid her $121,000 up front. Nobody wants to talk about her contract expires December 31st of this year. And everybody's, we're going to put an RFP out. You've already, again, you can put anything you want out. These three people up here are going to vote yes to whatever the mayor says. So it really, why waste your time? Why put an RFP? Well, you didn't even put an RFP out. And the funny thing is as much as I draw attention and as much as I yell at Mr. Perry, I believe a lot of Mr. Perry's pressure would be off him if the mayor would show his ass up here. I mean, and believe me, I don't want to defend Mr. Perry, but again, where is the mayor to answer the questions? Now, I know he sits with them all week, and everybody and our Kevin, and Karen do whatever he wants, and once in a while I think I got an email, and can I ask this question? It's so rehearsed. It's so rehearsed up there that I'm embarrassed for you. And again, Tom, I asked Tom afterwards, Tom, why are you worrying about what I'm doing? One time I talked to him on the phone, and he said Kelly was his client, that he would defend his client. Now, after the meeting 2 weeks ago, he has to look out for her competition. That's why he called the city of Lockport to look out for her competition. This is not a competition. This is a waste of money, number one, and give it to the people. There's dog shelters, not only our dog shelter, I'm sure there's other people that would like to make $20,000 a month. I bet you'd have a line. We're not asking for anything but to just stop lying to the people. Stop lying to them. I mean, it don't matter. They're human beings. Nobody in Niagara Falls, where does it say the people in Niagara Falls are stupid? They're not. And I'll tell you, we've been open a short time at our facility, and I'll tell you, Niagara Falls people, they've come and they've adopted dogs and cats, legitimately licensed them, And Niagara Falls isn't all bad. They could actually even write their name. They could fill out an application all by themselves. It's shocking. I had a lady that called us in the middle of the night. We went and just to look, the stray cat was, her ears were bleeding. She came to our facility Saturday and donated $50 to the facility just because we went out there and helped the stray cat. It's just pathetic. You're pathetic. And I don't mean to be rude, but now I also, Mr. Tom there that's laughing his ass off, he brought up, why don't we take care of dogs? I gave you a letter. I'll hand it to anybody. Eggs and Market, we are not allowed to take Niagara Falls dogs. So nobody's holding you hostage. Nobody's holding you hostage. I'm not allowed to help you. It's Article 7 in the charter rule of Eggs and Market, Mr. DuBois. We cannot take him. But I baited him, and again, he told somebody so that they called Eggs and Market to report to make sure I'm not taking any
Thank you,
dogs.
Janine.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tamika Houston.
It's been a minute since I came up here and spoke about my situation or my issue. Again, I'm just coming to you about my Airbnb situation that I had. I went to, I guess, what was supposed to be a zoning meeting yesterday, and I'm kind of happy with the outcome to some degree, but what I did take away and what I was concerned about is that they seem to be able to say that they're making this decision and what they can and cannot do. And on one issue, as far as the parking goes, they were saying, you know, they're for approving Airbnbs, but then they say if we have a parking issue, we need to call the police. They can't enforce anything with the police. But I'm thinking, if they can sit up there and make a decision supporting Airbnbs, shouldn't they also be able to consider the fact that the outcome of those Airbnbs with the parking, with the noise, with the fact that people feel unsafe and they feel like the integrity of the community's been affected? I just did not understand that. And even when I talked to some of them, it didn't even make sense to me, because again, I'm saying, you say to call the police if there's an issue with parking, if we can't find a spot because of these guests coming in all hours of the night being loud. And I'm like, okay, you guys approved those Airbnbs. Shouldn't there be some blowback for the decision that you make? You can't just say, yeah, we're approving it, and then have a hands-off approach or mindset or attitude. I just did not like that. So that's what I kind of came up here to say. And also, I've been following a little bit of what they've been doing in Lewiston with Airbnb. But I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, they kind of stopped the Airbnbs, and they're kind of still working out the work and whatnot as far as what they want going forward. I do know some residents there are fighting it. They don't want those there. For the same reason the people in my neighborhood don't want them there. Strangers coming through all hours of the night, people feeling safe and secure. So I'm just wondering, maybe you should follow suit as Lewiston is doing. Table certain things. Do what you have to do to make sure that, I kind of lost my train of thought just now, but I'm thinking just follow what they're doing. At least they say something. At least they're trying to progress to something. At least they're trying to have some sort of mediation or coming somewhere in the middle. So that's kind of what I came up here to say. This is probably not the last time you'll see me up here. Is Merle in here? Anybody named Merle? Merle?
I don't see him.
Merle? No?
I don't see him here.
Okay. You know, I'll be in contact. Hopefully we can actually talk.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Arlene Jackson.
I'm going to speak on the Beach Avenue part first. As we all know, back in April, all the documents were completed with drawings and everything for the Beach Avenue Time I submitted the application for the Niagara Greenway funding, and then that Greenway funding application was superseded by none other than our mayor, simply because one of the council persons didn't want to go through the process of voting favorably because there will be a veto. And I don't know if you understand the process of government. It's the mayor's full right to veto anything that you put on the table, and then the council can override the veto. Neither here nor there. If we go back 2 council meetings ago, I brought the drawings and all the petition signs and everything to go along with that request for the park to be built. Yet, when Mr. Du Bois said it was outdated when it was completed in April of 2024, and then he suggested that it was too late to request for construction to come and start designing the park. What I really don't understand, less than a week ago, you sent out 6 requests for bids to start building something here in the city of Niagara Falls. And I love this deer in the headlight stare when I come up here. You're looking like, what are you talking about? 6 requests went out for, I believe it was the middle of last week. The Niagara Greenway, well, let's go back to last city council meeting. And I beg to see if anybody here received an apology at all. I do recall one council looking over at another council and says, we worked on it, we have funding in the budget. And I do recall the other council person saying, I'm not going to vote on this because we have funding in the budget for next year. We came up here on Monday and we listened clearly to that budget meeting. There is nothing capital planning as not funding in a budget. Please don't act like the people in the city of Niagara Falls are boo-boo the fools. That is treating us with a lot of indignity. That's the way you treat us out here, and you don't understand the anger of the people. But the only thing I look to see is that one person that told this audience that there's funding in the budget, you're working on it and you got funding in the budget. Do you have a little bit of respect for the people of the city of Niagara Falls to stand up there and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong?
Our last speaker is Jacqueline Pryor.
I know it's tough seeing me 3 times. First, don't start my time. This is for the community. A couple more announcements you can make. We stay on the subject. We'll stay on the subject of Beach Avenue or the park situation. You know, I'm one for newspapers and you know, y'all documents, right? So this is a document, December 12, 2016, a council meeting. And number 8, it says approval of state and municipal facility program grant in the amount of $75,000 for the Highland Community Park. Now, we'll leave that to legals or any one of you to want to find out, was that approved? And if it was, where's that money? I mean, why don't nobody, I mean, do we got any update on that? Or do I got to fall like that too? Then, you know I like paperwork. Y'all own paperwork. This is a meeting from June 1st, 2022, the planning board meeting, okay? They got all these listing of what they want to do, and, you know, I'll let you see the list, but it's long. But it says something else about the park. It says 2022 Beach Avenue Park, large neighborhood park in Highland neighborhood. We're finalizing consultant selection. Then we'll proceed with planning process and ultimate design. Do you know what became of that? We always talking about Highland and its park and stuff like that, but as I guess we know, it is somebody's dream. It is not our dream. It is going to be our reality, regardless if you like it or not. Okay, so y'all can get on those dates. The three Gazette people that's here. 3, 1, 2, and 1 in the back. Anyway. Now we're going to talk about the water situation. I got 2 minutes, and it's going to be very difficult to put this into concept. The water department, they haven't given out anybody no shut-off notices, okay? So if you don't get a shut-off notice, then you can't get no help. And if you can't get no help and you don't make it that date, it goes on your taxes. And then the taxes from the city of Niagara Falls put that as a bad tax. Well, it did not come from the water department as a bad tax. It came as a delinquency. So who gets the right to change the wording? Because if you don't pay it, then you trying to do your credit, it's ruined. And let me just tell you this. It said on this date, pay by 10/21. Well, if you didn't pay, if you paid yesterday, that was like 30 days. Well, in 30 days, if my particular bill, 30 days, $50 late fee charge. In 30 days, you're trying to steal people's property. Stop. Also, too, I want everybody to know that Niagara Falls, Lockport, and the city of Tonawanda, they can foreclose on your property without even going to the county, not even addressing the county. Is that correct, Mr. Boys? Du Bois? Okay. Now, another thing with the water, now also too with all these landlords that's in the audiences, okay, who is responsible of the sewer? The water board told me it is, and the clerk's office said it is the owner's responsibility. I've been there. I have had where I had to pay the sewer. I was a tenant. And anybody that's going through this, you need to call the water board, whoever but I might have to look into this because I know I'm owed money and I want it. Just one other thing, 48 seconds. Just going into relationships. And going back to reporting things with the Gazette. Now, I had a brief conversation with Ms. Sharon Bailey. You are familiar with her, Mr. Du Bois, correct? That is your partner, because that's what she told me. Anyway, I asked her, did she know anything, or why ain't she mentioning anything about the park and the situation down there? And she's lived here all her life. And she was like, oh, well, she don't know. How can you not know? You take a interest of the whole city, not Niagara University, not this and the flowers just was on the building when you walked in. Everything is fine and pretty for everybody, right? Oh, I'm expired. I'm sure that was enough, but tomorrow we'll have a whole lot of foils for y'all to go through. And congratulations with your girlfriend.
There are no more speakers.
Okay, meeting's adjourned. 7:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna record. I'm gonna make them public.